Welcome to She's a Full-On Monet, a digital lifestyle magazine for women. Every week, our editor-in-chief, Kelly Castillo, along with Megan Block and special guests, participate in a deep dive discussion about recent articles and topics we have covered. We invite you to become part of our community where everyone's welcome. You can totally sit with us.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to She's a Full-On Monet. We're happy to be here. I am your host, Kelly. I have with me, as always, Megan.
Hello, everybody. Happy December.
Yes.
7th.
Yeah, we're recording this on the 7th.
Yes, we are recording it. But it just feels like I got to check my December is one of those days where I just say happy December because who knows what day it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's a blur. It is a gloomy, rainy day here, though. So it feels like winter, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Makes me want to do nothing and cozy up and yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could be doing nothing today.
Yeah.
But welcome back, you guys. We today are going to be talking about eating seasonally, what that means, why it's important, how it benefits us, how it benefits society as a whole. So I think seasonal eating is one of those things that's really only talked about maybe in like Western civilization countries, or particularly in America, because a lot of other countries that I've been to, or I know people who live there, including most of Europe, I mean, they eat just whatever's available locally at that time of year. I mean, there is no such thing as these massive grocery store chains where you can get anything you want any time of the year. And the seasonality of things has kind of gone out the window for us. So today we're going to talk about, kind of going back in time, back to the old corner market or farmer's market and or your own vegetable garden, and eating produce when it's in season, and why do we want to do that, and how does it help us?
I grew up in a time where I love strawberries. And when I was a kid, if they weren't in season, you just didn't have them. So now when I know I can get things all the time, I personally find it weird and unnatural. So I'm like all about this because I'm like, why are we eating things like this? Is how it's supposed to be. And we should embrace those and look forward to it and eat accordingly. And, here's why. So yeah, that's all I know,
My hubby loves pomegranates, and those are only in season for, really like a couple of weeks a year to get them really perfect. And he waits all year in anticipation of our pomegranate tree, overloading his produce basket with pomegranates, and he waits and waits until they're perfect. And and if he had access to them all year round, I don't know if it would be as special or anything he would really look forward to with that level of anticipation that he has now, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, at my house, I have a pretty extensive vegetable and herb garden, and we have a ton of fruit trees. So I may be a little more tuned in to what is seasonal than like your average person, because I change out my vegetable and garden beds 4 times a year with the season. And I don't try to grow things, obviously, when they're not in season, because I don't like to give myself a headache. But when you go to the grocery store, there is no such thing, because you can get, like you said, strawberries year round, watermelons year round, Brussels sprouts year round, butternut squash in July. It doesn't matter what's actually, local to you at that time, because they ship so many things from South America, which obviously their seasons are opposite of ours. So if you see those little stickers on your watermelon that says it's from Costa Rica, or, from Argentina, or some Chile is a big produce exporter, that's why.
They're not kidding. They're not trying to be exotic about it. It really came from there, because that's where it's warm, and it is not warm here. So
exactly.
Welcome to the weird things that we're doing. Because somebody out there's like, well, I need it for my ingredients right now. No, you don't. Find something else. It's not in season. Move forward.
Yeah. And what's funny to me is that when it comes to the sweeter fruits and things like berries, watermelon, all melons, you do see them year round, but there are certain things that only they make a big debut, like pomegranates or pumpkins, right? Everybody waits for the pumpkin spice latte to come back into the season.
Could you imagine if we got that all year round? How not special?
It wouldn't be special. No. And then now we're switching because it's December, we've switched to peppermint. But the whole, produce section has these giant bins of pumpkins only in October, not the rest of the year. So it's odd to me that we do recognize seasons with some fruits and vegetables and not with others. But honestly, we need to kind of look at this because the seasons change where you live for a reason. And going back in time to, caveman times, we ate what was available to us seasonally. And that's really what benefited our bodies at that time of year. So when we don't listen to nature, we tend to pay the price for that.
I notice a taste difference too. When they're trying to push a strawberry or a certain berry or something on a season that's not actually appropriate, like I can sense a difference in taste.
Oh, absolutely. I think also, that has to do with like, sometimes they genetically modify stuff to get it to grow off season, or it's grown in a warehouse environment. When you grow food in environments that isn't natural to it, whether that's like hydroponics or in a greenhouse warehouse environment, or you genetically alter it, or maybe you do grow it naturally in another part of the world, and then you pick it before it's ripe, pack it in these huge tanker trucks, ship it. And we know what the cargo ship situation is right now. By the time it gets to your local market and into your kitchen fridge, it's so not great for you anymore. And it doesn't taste good. It doesn't taste good because it's been sitting there for who knows how long. It's not appetizing. But if you really want a strawberry in December, that's the option.
I really love supporting local markets too, local farmers markets, because that's where you should be getting your produce. That's what I get it. We all want certain things, but think of how much better it's going to taste when it's in season. So, and that's just how we roll with it. Sometimes you can get things frozen. Like if you need an ingredient for, a dish, say a strawberry, and it's not in season, maybe frozen strawberries.
Yeah. Since the beginning of time, basically people canned fruits and vegetables, people made preserves. Now that we have freezers, we can freeze them. There are a lot of other methods to kind of keeping things available than shipping them such a long distance. And honestly, when something has sat for that long, it also loses a lot of its nutritional value. Whereas if it's picked and then immediately canned or frozen, it retains that nutrition much better than eating something that's way overripe.
I agree.
Yeah. So we want to talk about from a economical standpoint, when you eat seasonally, it's going to be more affordable. It just makes sense that if something was grown in your local area and had to travel a smaller distance to the store, the price for that item would be less. And shopping at farmers markets or fruit stands. First of all, oh my God, you can get like a giant bag of avocados for $1.50.
Oh man. Yeah. I used to live in Ventura, and that was all farmers area, and driving around certain areas, like Dan would be like, I had a $20 bill and I came home with, and it looked like a fourth of a farm. And I'm like,
Right.
What happened here? He's like, they gave me avocados as I was walking out the door. Like, it's great. It's such a great bang for your buck. And they're so appreciative when you shop there because they know you could go to Ralph's or Pavilions or whatever. Yes, great. I think it's awesome. It's kind of like Christmas morning to me.
I love fruit stands the best. If you don't have them in your area, first of all, I'm so sorry for you. And second of all, the second, next best option is farmers markets, which I know in my local farmers markets, most of the time the farmers or representative of the farmer is there themselves and can tell you when it was picked, that it's seasonal. They'll even let you taste it before you buy it. They do some really great stuff at farmers markets, and they can share with you too, like ways to use the produce that you might not have considered. And it's nice to actually get to meet the people behind the food that you're eating. The same thing with farm stands. Usually they're family run, and I love supporting them. It's a much more personal experience than going to like your local Ralph's or Trader Joe's and shopping in their produce section, because you really don't know what you're getting or where it's coming from.
Yeah, I think it's a cool experience. You get to know the food that you're putting in your body, which, I think is kind of like stuff people don't really do anymore. They just kind of buy and eat, and it's cool to get to know the farmer, how they grew it. And they're also competing against the stand across the way who's also selling the same produce. So they're trying to get your money, they're trying to get your business. And so they often have samples out, they often let you taste it, they'll often give you more than you asked for. Like they'll have deals where it's like, oh, buy this, you get a free thing of strawberries today. It's like, oh, I wasn't here for strawberries, but here I am eating it. And it's fun to like walk around and eat the fruit and know that it's clean. It's a fun experience. I bring my kids, and you gain a more like a sense of real appreciation and value for the food you're putting in your body when you take the time to actually hand pick it yourself like that, versus just walking into a store because it's one of the 15 things. I know I don't always do it, but if I have time to do either a fruit stand or a farmer's market, it's just such like a elevated experience for shopping for produce.
I agree.
Like butters or,
even our
breads.
local farmer's market has meats.
Yeah. Meats. Oh, really?
Eggs
Oh
and
my
things like
gosh.
that,
Eggs, like breads. Oh my gosh. And like different like olive oils and sauces and stuff. It's it's actually a really cool place to find like holiday gifts.
And since we live by the coast, there's always fresh seafood, and it's nice to kind of know exactly where it came from. You get a better idea of if it's important to you, which I think it should be. You learn how well they take care of their animals if they're a meat producer or a farm like that, or even just, eggs from the chickens. It's just way more personal. So, I mean, we know eating seasonally is more nutritious. We talked about that. It's obviously more affordable. It's a way to support your local businesses, your local farmers. And honestly, like the impact on the environment for eating seasonally is huge. I think everybody should be concerned with the environment, climate change, all of that. If that's something that's important to you, eating seasonally is a very easy way you can kind of contribute and make a little bit of a change, because the amount of energy and the carbon footprint of a watermelon that has to travel to like us in California from, say, Chile, varying degrees of carbon footprint for that versus one that was grown in season 5 miles away, massive difference. So
totally.
Yeah.
Is there a certain fruit or vegetable that you look forward to? Like when you either grow it or like what is the thing that when that season hits, you're like, yes, I know that your hubby likes the pomegranates. What's it?
I like tomatoes. Like I like them. Okay. I'll use them in salads or pasta dishes or something. I'll use them as an ingredient. But there's just a very short window of time where the heirloom tomatoes are local.
Oh my gosh, are we the same person? I was literally going to say, if you asked me the same question, heirloom tomatoes are the business.
I can eat a slice of heirloom tomato with salt and pepper on it, and that is perfection to me. I don't even need to put it in anything or add it.
And even like a snob where I like a certain color heirloom tomato. I like the dark red. It's got like this different taste than any other tomato I've ever had in my life. And I don't grow them, but I will purposely during the tomato season when Trader Joe's boxes them up, I'll find the ones with the most of my favorite color in it. Cause like they're so good on their own. It's like a next level. I already like tomatoes, but heirloom tomatoes are it for me.
Me too. Hands down. That's the seasonal item for me.
My husband loves persimmons. They are like his favorite thing. And he'll wait until they're like oozing. They're so soft. Like I'll be like, can you eat this? He'll be like, it's not ready. And I'm like, are you serious? He's like, it's not ready. It's not. And because he grew up, his parents have, similar to you, they have fruits and vegetables that they grow. They have a couple trees and they have lemons, they have oranges, they have persimmons, and they have pomegranates. And so he's just grew up with these persimmons, just like, on ready to go. And I'm like, okay, that's nice. That must be nice.
Yeah. We have persimmons in our orchard and they're not my favorite, but my husband
They're not my
like
favorite. Them. No, I'm not a fan, but oh man, heirloom tomatoes. Do you grow those?
I try. Some years I'll have like a banger crop of cherry tomatoes and no heirlooms or other kinds of tomatoes. And then some years I get heirlooms and no cherry tomatoes. So I never know.
You're like, it's not up to me.
I'm not a good enough gardener to understand the reasons for why things work and why they don't.
Yeah.
I also really love the summer squashes when they're in season, and zucchini and yellow squash in the summer.
Yum.
Yeah. And if you think about the way that we cook the vegetables that are in season, the fruits and vegetables, mostly vegetables that we use for winter recipes like soups and stews. You're talking about your, butternut squash, acorn squash, carrot, like potatoes, things that we use for those kind of warm and comforting meals versus the things that we are in the season in the summer that we grill or we make salads and things like that out of. It lends itself naturally to being used at the right time of year. If we just kind of listen to it.
It wasn't that long ago. I totally remember being at the store with my mom and dad and them being like, this isn't like they would shop seasonally at the grocery store because maybe at that time, 90s kid, maybe the stores were still only storing. I feel like it wasn't until recently that they're like, we must develop a way where someone can have a strawberry no matter what the season. And it's so not natural that I'm like, how are people all on board with this? It just seems weird. So wouldn't you want to know how that strawberry was made?
And it just makes sense that the things that we cook in a way that warms our home, like the vegetables that lend themselves to being roasted are winter vegetables, and the vegetables that cook faster and lighter are summer vegetables. It just makes sense. And I think it's a way for us to kind of connect to nature and what nature provides for us to have healthy bodies. I mean, a lot of the fruits and vegetables that ripen and are available naturally in the wintertime are the ones that help us fight colds and boost our immune system. It makes sense.
Don't fight nature.
Don't fight nature. Exactly.
It's got it figured out.
Yeah,
Don't go against it.
The fruits and stuff that are ripe in the summertime help hydrate your body. They tend to be really water heavy fruits like melons and berries.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we need to go back to listening to nature and letting it feed our bodies in the way that it's meant to. And there's a lot of ways. We're going to talk about the ways that make it easier to eat seasonally. I know there are parts of the country and parts of definitely in other countries where there is a little bit of like food desert. We've covered that on the site before, where, grocery stores aren't as plentiful, and fresh seasonal stuff is not as plentiful. So we will talk about some options for you. There is such a thing as a seasonal food guide. If you really don't know when things are in season, if you have questions about, like, I could not tell you, because I've never grown them myself, when green beans are in season. I think it's summer. But no,
I want to say some of my favorite fruits and vegetables, but I don't want somebody to be like, that's a year-round thing. I have no idea. Some of them I know for sure. I only see it during certain times. And then some I'm like, maybe the green beans are good.
I don't know actually what a green bean.
I have no clue. Can I do it anytime? I know certain climates are better for certain things to be made, but it's like, given any certain situation, I can do that indoors apparently.
Yeah.
You can artificially grow anything inside. It's not natural. I feel it's not natural, but it can be done.
Yes, it can be done. So on the article that will accompany this podcast episode, we are linking to the seasonal food guide. I'll try to put it in the show notes also. But that's a good thing for you to know. It is an online resource that kind of helps. We talked about visiting your local farmers market. If you are lucky enough to have a farmers market near you, you can make that one of your regular stops, and you will quickly learn what is in season at what times. And the farmers there are super knowledgeable and usually really helpful and want to give you advice and tips on things.
Like make a day of it. I think it's so refreshing and cool and fun. And I'll pick up some flowers and you walk around and when you go to cut that fruit or that vegetable, or you go to prepare that dish and you know what went into it and you met the farmer who, grew it's such a different level of enjoying your food. I don't know if anyone watches those like food channel type shows, but sometimes they do challenges where they have to shop at a farmer's market. And knowing the farm to table experience is such a cool thing that it's like, just do it for like shaking things up for a minute and see how it feels. Because I really had no idea until, this one, the Corona Del Mar farmers market area. And I just walked around and I got such a level of appreciation for the produce versus going and just mindlessly grabbing what I think is a good melon at the store.
Absolutely.
It's so cool.
That's one of the ways that I really learned to find out when things were ripe, which helped me as a shopper. And it also helped me as a grower because I didn't know if I was picking too early, too late. And again, the people at the farmers market, they are such wealth of information and they love to chat. So ask them questions, get to know more. If you see a fruit or vegetable you've never seen before, ask them about it, how they would use it. They really love to share, farming and produce information with everyone. It's a great resource. If you don't know, if you have a farmer's market near you, there is a website called Local Harvest. I think it's localharvest.org that will give you like a map of farmers markets in your area. We're really lucky. We have a lot of them in Orange County.
We have so many different, depending on the day, you could probably hit one every day.
Almost. Yeah. I think so. Another great way, if you are not near a farmer's market or you just don't have time in your schedule, because usually a lot of times they're weekdays in the mornings. If you have a work schedule that doesn't really jive with that, you can subscribe to a CSA box. I used to do that. I think it's a great thing to do. A CSA box, if you don't already know, it's you basically buy a share of the farmer's crop for the year. And then it can be monthly, weekly, season by season, whatever the CSA box structure is. You will receive like a box of assorted fruits and vegetables.
Oh, it's so cool. I had it for a while and it feels so rad, just like opening up and seeing what's in there. And it's like almost like straight from the farm sometimes.
I know. Yeah. And I was subscribed to one where you could choose if you wanted fruits and vegetables that you could use in recipes and to cook, or wanted ones that were ready to eat. So not everybody cooks. Yeah. Not everybody cooks. So it's nice that they have those options. One thing I loved about getting a CSA box was that every once in a while I would get something I'd never seen before or never eaten before. And it would kind of force me to Google recipes for that and try something new. And I discovered a lot of stuff that I didn't even know about or didn't know that I would like. So that was really, I thought, cool. And in my mind, at least, because I was supporting a specific farmer and I knew the work that went into growing those things, I was much more likely to eat them. I don't know how many times I've bought, a bag of spinach or a bag of lemons or something at the grocery store and had to throw them away after a week because I didn't touch them.
That's a very good point. Because I know for a fact, a lot of produce goes to waste. That's a huge problem. And I think that if you meet the worker that it's like, that's their life. That's what they do. That's, it takes a lot to grow what they grow, that when you throw it in the trash, it has a whole new meaning. You want to utilize that produce as much as you possibly can. I've sometimes just like wanted to utilize it because I'm like, I've carried this bag of stuff and herbs and vegetables and fruits around for like 25 minutes around this farmer's market. Like I'm using all this stuff. Like I know the work that goes into it because I had conversations with these people. I just think it's really fun.
Yeah, I do too. And the CSA boxes are another way that you really support that farmer season to season to be able to stay in business.
Yeah. It's cool. You don't get to actually ask those questions like you would, but you do. I don't know. It's a different level of experience than just like we talked about going to a major grocery chain and grabbing things.
Yeah. The CSA box that I was subscribed to came with a little newsletter every box that said what was happening on the farm that month or that season. And sometimes it would have pictures of the farm, and then it would have recipes on the backside of things to use in the box. I thought really made me feel really connected to the farm itself and the people who were working to produce my food. I think the more connected we feel to our community and the people around us, like the better people we all are.
Exactly. 1,000%.
Yeah. If you don't have, you can look on Local Harvest for CSA boxes in your area too. If you really live in an area that does not have farmers markets, that does not have CSA boxes, there are still some like national subscription box services that you can sign up for. I know Imperfect Foods is a really popular one, Misfits Market, and there's one called the Hungry Harvest. Those you'll get a box of a variety of different fruits and vegetables. You can choose the frequency that you get the box, and it's produce that normally like wouldn't qualify to go into the grocery store because it's maybe like a weird shape or just isn't like a cute looking carrot or whatever. So they put them in these boxes and it kind of gives the produce a second opportunity to be useful, and it helps the farmer to have additional income for stuff that he would have had to throw away. Food waste in our country is
don't even problem. Let's have a whole entire conversation about that on another day, right? Because it's terrible. It's absolutely, I have heard some horror stories about certain grocery chains that will just literally throw their food away and won't give it to local homeless shelters because for silly reasons. And when I hear the reasons, I'm like, that's a real reason. Like, people are starving and we are wasting food. I don't even want to go into it. It's terrible. The personal food waste I feel so guilty about, like we're awful.
I was at the mall earlier today. I had to pick up something very quickly and I parked in the underground parking. And when I was leaving, I drove past where all the dumpsters are for the stores and restaurants to use. And there were 3 humongous dumpsters that had big signs on them saying food waste only. And the fact that a mall with a handful of restaurants needs to have 3 gigantic dumpsters for food waste, just, I couldn't even imagine. I was literally thinking the homeless probably see that and just, I can't imagine how heartless that feels if, because it's not, I know a lot of restaurants participate in food donation programs, which is amazing. And I understand that there is food that is not safe for consumption that needs to be destroyed. I get it.
I get it.
I'm offering no solutions to the problem.
No, we're simply complaining, but that's okay because we also know that there's a lot of, going back to what we're talking about. I feel like when you mindlessly shop, then you'll mindlessly waste, like I know when I just I think I want oranges this week, but I didn't really have a plan for those oranges. I just was mindlessly shopping at the grocery store. And then they go to waste because I didn't touch them because I didn't have a reason for shopping for them. Sometimes if it takes a little bit more effort or it's a little bit that more personal, you feel a little bit more in touch with the food and you use it as much as you just use it that much more. So I just feel like the mindless shopping and the mindless eating sometimes goes to the mindless wasting because it's just everything's so readily available too. You go into the week going I'm going to make good choices. And then you go and DoorDash or drive through too many times, then we just waste the food, because you're,
of course, if you're
seasonal depression is real or whatever,
if you're in the grocery store aisle and like I said, you see a bag of spinach, it's like $2, $2.99. And you're like, oh, I'll make, creamed spinach this week, or I'll make a spinach salad, and you buy it with no real agenda for it. Chances are you're going to be throwing that bag of spinach away. But if you get it at the farmer's market where it's literally bundled and the farmer is handing it to you. I know me, when I get that stuff home, when I do a farmer's market haul and I get home, I literally separate everything. I put it into cute little containers. I put it in my fridge because it didn't come in plastic. It didn't, I pay more attention to it.
Spinach, it's kind of still got dirt on it. It's still attached to the root. You got to cut it and clean it and freshen it up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's all in little baskets and stuff in my fridge. And when I open the door, it's right there in front of me. It's not in a produce drawer where I forgot I even had it. I'm much more likely, to actually use that stuff.
Yeah. 1,000%. If you prep it ahead before putting it away, it's not going to be such a chore when you go use it. You're you're already on the fence about maybe eating it or using it. And you're okay. So if it's already ready to go, there's no reason not to.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
And I am lucky enough to have the space and the time to have a large vegetable and herb garden and a lot of fruit trees. I know that's not everybody's situation, but they are creating some very cool, even patio gardens, vertical gardens that you can do.
Oh, yeah. A friend of mine created a company where that's those herb gardens that grow up.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. And you can grow so much with those things. There's really no excuse not to try and create your own. At least start with if spices or something.
Growing your own food is obviously the most affordable option that we talked about, and the most nutritious because you know exactly what you did or did not spray on that or put in that soil or whatever.
Try composting. It's fun. It's real gross, but it makes those fruits and vegetables taste great, right?
And if you put in the effort to grow something, you 100% will use that item because that was your own like sweat equity to get those 3 cherry tomatoes that you got off of your vine. You're going to eat them. So if at all possible, you know, really look into growing some of your own food. At the very minimum, it will give you a deeper appreciation for the produce that you purchase. And what had to go in to create that, the labor costs of that, because it's significant. And you know, it's really inexpensive to start a garden if you start it from seed. It's more work, but seed packets are like 20 cents. I mean, you really like
they are, but then you have to worry about like the little bugs and creatures that get into your garden. I'm sure you know, and like all the other stuff, but it's weird. I know the people that do it. Like my in-laws, they garden and they have a large property where they have that. It becomes like a really loving, awesome hobby that like it's a passion project of theirs, you know? And when they finally bring in that whatever it is that they've grown, it's like it's such a better experience, you know, because it's not like, oh, plant seed, put water, look at it and it grows. Like you have to like, there's a lot that goes into I feel like there's a lot that goes into it. I can't keep any plant alive to save my life. It's the worst. So I appreciate and respect anyone who can. Humans, great. Plants, I've tried everything. I can't do anything. Succulents are about it. So props to you. Because if I had this space, I feel like I'd mess it up royally. Did you get help when you started?
Yes.
Okay.
So I had never gardened before I started my vegetable and herb garden. So I did get help from a company called Harvest to Home. They are incredible. They came out, they showed me what to plant and when. They brought me like seedlings and got me started. And then they come out at the beginning of every season and help me empty the beds and replant.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And they let me know, like, if I ask, what am I doing wrong? I didn't get this year. I got that instead. They give me really helpful tips. I'm definitely not like a Martha Stewart level gardener, but one thing I never thought I was going to be really that into gardening. But one thing I've found is that when I'm out there working in the garden, it's almost like meditative. It's a really good time for me to just kind of think through anything that's bothering me, work out feelings on stuff. It's just me with kind of my hands in the dirt, and something about being more in tune with like nature and actually physically being in nature.
Being unplugged in nature is great, right?
Yeah. And it's very calming because a lot of the work we do in the garden is repetitive, which kind of just, it lends itself to that kind of meditation mindset. So I find it to be very relaxing. It's something that I do partly because, you know, we invested in building this garden and I have people who help me with it. So I feel an accountability to them and to the financial and time investment I've already made. So I'm like, I really need to go, you know, get all the, right now, we just had fall, all the leaves. I really need to get all the dead leaves out of the garden beds and clean it up. It really kind of makes me schedule time for myself in that way and schedule time for something that's kind of restorative to me. And also it's just really cool to see something that you nurtured from a seed turn into something that you can actually make dinner with. It's kind of amazing.
Because it's so much easier just to go buy it at the store, but it's such a deeper experience. That's not what you're there for. You know, it's so cool. It's something I've always wanted because I don't have the space to do it. And of course, if I started it, that's such a great idea to have someone come in and really get you going. Cause it's like, I have a fitness goal. It's like buying a gym membership versus buying a gym membership and like a lot of personal training. You're going for it big. So you teamed up with this home or Harvest to Home or home. Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't even know something like that existed. So
yeah, they are basically my personal trainer for gardening.
Exactly.
And they're a local company, but they also do like vertical wall gardens. They do all different kinds of stuff. So, I mean, my garden produces a lot of produce, and it makes me happy when I can make like little produce baskets and give them to some of the employees who work for us or people in the neighborhood.
Yeah, because I'm sure you have a surplus of certain things. I know my in-laws, they have too many of like their citrus trees get crazy, and they're like, please take, like, anyone who comes and visits, they're like, do you want lemons? Take 15 lemons home. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, here's the thing is it's good for the tree if you take those things off because they need to be I don't know. There's
Yeah,
a
they
word.
need to
I
be
don't
like
do this.
purged or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
The fruit,
It's
for sure.
It's good for them. And they're like, you want me to take the fruit? Yes, please take the fruit. Because then it just falls to the ground and goes bad and it's wasteful.
Yeah, everyone who comes over to our house gets citrus if it's citrus season.
Yeah.
We have over 300 citrus trees. Well over 300.
Did you say 300?
Mm-hmm.
That's you're running a business.
Yeah,
what's your citrus business? That's crazy amount. Okay.
Yeah, well,
my in-laws have 5. Like maybe.
Our entire property is bordered by citrus.
Oh,
so
yeah, I remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
It goes all the way around like 7 acres.
So yeah, everyone gets citrus.
And everyone gets eggs because our chickens are way over.
How many chickens do you have?
We have, I think right now, like 19.
You have 19 chickens?
Yeah.
I want to come visit you. My in-laws have 2 and I love them dearly. And when I go visit them, I like always say hi, and they produce 2 eggs a day. And it's the highlight because, oh man, during the pandemic, that was the best.
So can you imagine how many chickens? How many eggs we get every day?
Can I ask why you have 19 chickens?
We started with 6, and then our next door neighbor moved and didn't want to move their chickens, so we took in their chickens. And then someone else heard that we took the neighbor's chickens in, and they brought over 4 chickens they didn't want anymore. So they just grew and grew and grew. And then they have chicks sometimes because we do have a rooster. So
legit, like if I ever need a chicken or a baby
come
chicken,
over and get one. Yeah.
I had no idea this was happening over there. This is great. 19 chickens. Okay,
we have 4 ducks that we got during quarantine. They also produce duck eggs every day. So
what do you do with all these eggs?
We have over a dozen eggs a day. Like,
no, I know that's crazy. A lot of eggs. I mean, even because you don't have like you don't have like all the kids running around anymore eating eggs. So
we
like,
do not.
Legit, what do you do with these eggs?
We give them away to everybody that comes to the
You're fun.
I'm not kidding.
Fun bunch.
I buy egg cartons on Amazon, like in bulk, and they say like I just got laid or whatever on the top. It's pretty cute. And so I give those out to every single person who comes over. I don't care if they even know.
Oh, I love it. I could eat a dozen eggs like every 72 hours. I eat so many eggs. So this is
yeah. Sometimes I'll take a whole dozen eggs and make hard-boiled eggs and just like try to get everybody to eat a hard-boiled egg.
That's great though. That's duck eggs too. Wow.
Duck eggs too. Duck eggs are larger and they have a much larger yolk than chicken eggs. They're more yolky than white. So we eat them. They are very much edible.
So cool. Wow. So you guys have a lot going on over there that is producing for itself that you honestly can really know where it came from. Like really know. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me happy because we have a lot of like older people in our neighborhood, and I know a few of them. So I will give them little baskets that have.
You could join a farmer's market.
I know.
You could have your own stand. My goodness, with just citrus and eggs.
We have like a cut flower garden, the vegetable and herb garden, our little fruit orchard, and then of course all the eggs. So I make these little baskets for some of the older neighbors, and I'll leave them for them on their porch. And they, when I see them walking in the morning or whatever, they always tell me how much they appreciate it.
That is the coolest thing. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's something that makes me happy to do. And I mean, right now it's basically usually the 2 of us, so we can't eat that much of everything anyway.
Well, that's very nutritious and cool. I'm sure it's so, you go for the other stuff that you can't grab at your place. So you go to the store for now, huh?
Yeah, I go to the store for things that I just have had no luck growing, or I don't, I didn't plant that season. I didn't think I was going to need it. And then it turns out I do.
Do you only eat seasonally?
Not always, because there are a few things that I know are not seasonal, and I like Brussels sprouts. I'm a big Brussels sprouts fan. I like them shaved Brussels sprouts in my salads. I like stuff like that, or fennel, things like that. But I really need to kind of pay more attention to that particular stuff. It's usually salad stuff that I eat year round because I eat salad year round, and there is a lettuce season, and when it is not lettuce season, I don't always.
Is there really a lettuce season?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, today for lunch, I had a vegetable minestrone soup, and everything in it was seasonal. So, I mean, I had tomatoes, but they were jarred. So it wasn't like I bought them at the store.
It's all about doing it as close to 100% of the time as you can, but it's not ideal. You know, you can't eat seasonally 100% of the time, I guess. But when you can and you have the time, explore local farmers markets. Know that they are, if you are supporting them, then they get to, you know, keep their job and feed their families and keep their farm running. If we only bought things from South America, then, you know, it just wouldn't help our local markets. And I think that that's something that's super important to do.
Yeah. And I think we need to understand too that some of the issues that other countries have economically, even some of our own states here in the US, I know Hawaii has this issue. They export 85% of the food that they grow. And it turns out that it doesn't allow enough food for the community that grew the food because it's more profitable to export
to send out and not feed your community.
So you could be buying produce from an area in South America or some other part of the world that is exporting so much of their food for profit that they can't even enjoy their own local produce. So it's something to think about. If, you know, world economics is just becoming like this huge thing. And just because, you know, you can doesn't mean you should, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Also keep in mind, if it's not meant to be grown during this time of year, do you really truly want to eat it? I don't know. I mean, I know that growing indoors is totally, I mean, I'm sure maybe they taste the same. I don't know. I just know that when a strawberry is in season, for example, it tastes just that much sweeter and that much better and that much just like it did when I was a kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm not a scientist, but I'm no scientist. But it seems to me that something grown outside with the sun and air and nature
and would bird sounds and all
bird sounds,
right?
would have more nutrition in it than something grown under a lamp in a warehouse.
1000% agree. You know, and maybe it's the same nutrition. It just does not give the same kick, you know? Yeah. So do your best to just try and support the local markets. You know, trying to understand what's in season and be maybe more heavy about those items during that time, you know, like, I didn't know that zucchini had a season. Maybe I will really explore dishes that have zucchini in it right now, you know, versus try and think about doing it in July because it was cool on TikTok or something like, you know what I mean? Like, be aware.
You know, I would really, those CSA boxes and things like that, if you don't know what you like, are a really great opportunity to try new things and push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And, you know, when we're talking about the economic impact or the environmental impact of the produce that you buy, and honestly, with most of your purchases, whether you're buying clothing or a piece of fruit, or we vote with our pocketbook more than we vote in the voting booth. So the way that we make an impact on things that are important to us are by spending in a way that aligns with our values. So if you are concerned about climate change, if you are concerned about, you know, economic impacts of the things that you buy, just keep those kind of things in mind. Even at the grocery store, it's that level that we need to be conscious of the choices that we're making.
I agree.
Yeah. So start off by going to that seasonal food guide and see what's in season right now. It is December. So see what's out there winter wise. I know it's like, you know, the winter squashes, there's Brussels sprouts, broccoli, lots of good stuff in the winter time. Lots of comfort food like casserole stuff, soup stuff.
Like you said, if the ingredients are meant for like a comfort food winter, like cozy season, that's probably what you should be exploring. Right? Maybe try making a soup for the first time. If you've never made a soup, you can literally, or a beef stew. Oh man, like if you just like put beef and then like cut up all of those fresh
Carrots
ingredients
and celery
and then just let it marinate and then like fresh herbs and spices. It's like the best comfort food, and you can reheat it and it still tastes good the next day because it's kind of still marinated together. It's fun to really maybe take a long time if you've really never prepped like a big dish before, like just go into seeing and doing the experience and use those seasonal fruit, like vegetables. Really, we're in the vegetables are really like highlighted during the winter season. I feel it's fun to try. And I'm not a cook by any means. I bake more than I cook, but when I have made stuff, like for example, a beef stew, like there's such like a like a proud appreciation when I give it to my family, because I know like I cut all those pieces of carrots up and they're so imperfect, but they taste that much better than me just like buying like minestrone soup off the shelf at, that was already packaged and shipped. I don't even look to see where things are sent from. It's terrible.
It's 1,000 times better for you to make things at home. We all know that. And if you think that you don't like something, like my husband, he didn't think he liked acorn squash or any of the winter squashes. But I tried cooking it a few different ways, and I did find one that he actually really likes. If I use acorn squash and make like a puree, and then I put that as a base for a really clean, nice piece of fish, he really likes that flavor combination.
Good.
I just kind of like smear it on the plate and then put the
you're
fish
doing
on top
like
of it.
Top Chef over there, like making
that.
I love that. That sounds delicious. Yeah, I'm not a Brussels sprout fan, but my best friend makes a recipe that's like bomb. I'm sure you have a really good one too, that it's like I could eat that and enjoy it and not hate it. But
I grew up with my parent cooking boiled Brussels sprouts, which is like the worst way you can make them. I don't know why anybody would do that.
Wow.
They're so good when you roast them really crispy and you put like a balsamic glaze or something on them, or put a little bacon in there. It's really good. Or you can, like I do, I shave them and make salads out of them. Really good. You
can give Brussels sprouts a really bad name or a really good name, depending on how you choose to cook them.
Yeah.
So Brussels sprouts. Sorry, that's
gross. They were just like hard little veggie balls. Gross. But I'm sure a lot of people listening have a New Year's resolution to eat more plants, to get their 5 a day, or to, maybe move towards a plant-based way of eating. So if you are thinking about doing that, then all the tips we gave you today will make that even easier for you to do and give you lots of new options for meals. A lot of people think plant-based means just salad, just, soups and things like that. And that's not necessarily the case. There's so many very cool ways that you can make all these things. And it's, a really healthy option for people who are trying to do that for their New Year's resolution. Doing it, if you start off doing it in a way that's seasonal and maybe more local to you, it's kind of like the triple whammy of New Year's health resolutions. Eat more plants, eat them seasonally, eat them locally.
Yeah. I think the more you dive into something, the easier it is to stick with. I think if you just like, oh, I got to lose weight, so I'm just going to go buy salad and but if you go and, like you said, meet the farmer, you're carrying around that brown bag and you proudly chose those ingredients, like you've chosen a new lifestyle, and it's going to like make that journey that you have to go through anyway, that much more like rewarding, and more exciting. And it will open up new doors. And man, there are so many vegetarian dishes or vegan dishes that if I was just like on a weight loss journey, I would never think that those things were possible, but if you take the time to buy the ingredients and do your research and like hand pick it, it tastes so much better.
Yeah. And if you're trying to like reverse a health issue that you're having, or lose weight, or just generally be healthier, plant forward eating is really the best way to do that. And maybe that in your mind doesn't seem appealing, but you just have to keep trying new things, and you will find a handful at least of recipes and things that you enjoy. That's the key, is to find what you actually like. Don't, eat things because you think you're supposed to eat them and you don't like them.
Arugula is the worst. I know some people like it, but I tried for a while because it was a cool thing to like eat it anyway. No, I don't do that. So like, just know what you like and, jazz it up when you can. I don't know if you like arugula. I'm sorry.
I do. I like arugula, but
really? Oh man, it's got such a strong, or cilantro. Can't
they say that genetically, some people's taste buds, for cilantro particularly, it tastes like soap to them.
I don't taste soap. It's so, if my food looked at cilantro, I know, like, it's the weirdest thing. It's like, I don't know. And I keep, how your taste buds sometimes change too. Like I used to hate certain fruits and vegetables that I love now. But I've tried it and it's still on the no list, but it doesn't taste like soap. It's just such an off-putting taste.
It is a strong flavor. I'm not a fan of onions. I have learned that if I really cook them down to almost
like even
caramelized.
grilled onions, like
They have to be cooked all the way to almost like where they're caramelized. Then
I'll never eat them alone. And then those have to be like a side on something. I don't like onions either.
I don't like them mixed into things when they still have a crunch to them.
Oh no.
Or so a really strong flavor. Yeah, if I order, say, a chocolate chip bagel and it even touches an onion bagel, I'm so grossed out.
I'm so grossed out. Those are not good combinations. Garlic's I know it's just, we're picking all the strong ones, but I really love garlic, but it's like an onion to me. I can't like eat like the chunk of garlic. Like it's got to be like that puree, or like it kind of like winked at garlic and was like,
yeah. So what I do, especially if I'm making a sauce or a saute of some sort, I'll put the whole clove of garlic in there and I cook it, and then I pick it out. Then I pick it out so nobody accidentally gets it.
It's too strong. I feel that way with onions. I don't get people that are like the chopped red onion in their salad. Like, I think it's bizarre. So, like, I know it's in salsa a lot too. I don't really like a crunchy onion, even if it's accompanied with other things. It's just too strong of a, it's not even, it doesn't taste good on its own. At all. I don't care what color it is. It's gross.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody likes something different. If you don't think that you like,
but I wouldn't know if I didn't try it.
Yeah.
I hated avocado as a kid. I tried it when I was in my mid-20s and I was like, how did I ever hate an avocado? That's insane. So, try things. I tried dragon fruit not too long ago for the first time because I looked at it and I was like, what planet did that come from? But I tried it because it was in like one of those boxes where they like send you certain things. Same with beets. I never, like when I go to a store, I pick the fruits and vegetables that I know, that I'm familiar with. I would never, unless the dish really requires it. And even then sometimes I'm like, is there a substitute? I don't know if I want that. It forces you to try something else that you might have not known you enjoy.
Yeah, I don't love beets, but I have found that I like golden beets better than the dark purple ones. Mm-hmm. And if something like a beet or Brussels sprout or kale or something like that has a particular flavor, I found that it really depends on how I spice it, or if I put like beets with goat cheese and balsamic, it softens the flavor of the earthiness of the beet. So, I mean, honestly, just keep trying different recipes and you'll figure out what you like and what you don't. And hopefully there's enough, in the fruits and vegetable category that you like, that you can make it easier on yourself to get your recommended daily amount, which is great. Like, it's a lot.
Start small, go to your local farmer's market, maybe buy your potato there versus your major grocery chain, and then go make your baked potato and see how much like more you enjoy your eating experience than, and all the other stuff about how much better it is for your body and the economy and all that. Yeah. But like, just do it for the sake of trying something new for your eating experience. I think
absolutely.
Especially in America, in our country, we mindlessly eat like insane, like just not eat a lot. We eat without really tasting the food and sitting and enjoying it. Oftentimes it's in front of a screen or in front of a phone. We're not really actually realizing what we're eating. So this is a much better way to just, it kind of forces you to slow down and enjoy the experience because you walked it and you picked it and you had a conversation with the farmer, and it was a memorable moment that when you finally go home and you make that dish, that it's just an elevated eating experience, and we all should enjoy that.
It turns it into an experience rather than just, I'm hungry, I ate, now I'm not.
Exactly.
There can be more to it than that. So
even if it's just once a week, go to the farmer's market, make the dish that night based on what you buy that day.
I honestly find that really relaxing thing to do on Sundays, to go to the farmer's market, come up with some things, like go home, Google recipes, and make something new.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a complete and total. We feel like it's like all in or nothing. You can just do it. Do what you need to do for timing and for your life purposes. And then on Sundays, on your day off, maybe explore that local farmer's market and make a dish on the fly based around the ingredient that you choose there.
Absolutely.
It's fun. It's fun to do it with the family. I let my girls decide sometimes what produce we get, and then we base our meal that night based around what we get at the farmer's market. And they learn a lot about fruits and vegetables. Please, if you're a parent, bring your kids with you. I know it's like a lot going on. There's dogs there. There's a lot of people, but my girls learn a lot about fruits and vegetables and their local farms. And they don't, sometimes kids don't even know that like things were grown 5 minutes away from them and that they're eating a strawberry that was right there. My girls now know that because of how many times they've been to a farmer's market or a fruit stand.
Yeah, it's a really great thing to teach your kids.
Yeah, nutrition's big and it starts early. And if we're mindlessly eating and shopping, they're going to mindlessly eat and shop. So bring your kids and let them experience it and let them pick the fruits and vegetables out and have them ask questions. It's really cool to hear them ask, like, why is a grape purple and why is a grape green, and you'll learn something too, because I bet you didn't know either. It's really cool because you're not going to ask like Connor that's restocking the shelves at Pavilions that question. He's not
won't
know. So like just do it for the sake of a new life experience with the family or for yourself, and go home and cook and do it once a week, once every other week. It's super fun to do. A lot of places have farmers markets or somewhere where you can buy locally. Yeah,
I highly recommend to everyone listening to this. That's your homework project.
Make a cool dish and tell us what you made so that we can all share too, because
I always need ideas. Yes, please.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We appreciate all of you coming back week after week. And please, if you're enjoying this podcast, share it with your friends and family. That's how we grow. Thank you guys. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to bookmark our site, she'safullonmonet.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're enjoying this podcast, it helps us a lot if you can follow, rate, and review. See y'all next week.